Good evening, everyone. This is Mayor Sean Patterson Howard. We are here for our Sundays with Sean show. We are here live. Tonight we have joining us our Councilman Derek Thompson. Councilman Thompson came into office in January of 2020 along with me, and he's here with us tonight. So pull him on into the show. How you doing, Councilman Thompson?
Good evening. How you doing?
All right. So everyone, we're going to keep tonight light. We're going to just provide some updates about some of the things that we're doing here in Mount Vernon and move on forward. So we know for the past few weeks, period, our streets are in really, really bad condition. That's something that we know. People are hitting potholes. You're dealing with bent rims, axles, uncomfortable rides around the town. So last week, we got our pothole crews out. Our Commissioner Bush was able to work with one of our vendors because we've been cut off by all of our vendors for not paying. But he was able to literally beg and get one of the vendors to provide us with some asphalt. So we've had one crew going around on the north side, one going around on the south side. It's going to take a while to get to all of them, but they are working on filling potholes. If you have a big pothole in your neighborhood that you want to let us know about so that we can put it on the list to be addressed, please send an email to Dpw Concerns at cmvny.com. Dpw Concerns at cmvny.com. If you have an emergency and you need to reach DPW, you can always reach them at 914-665-2719. That is a 24-hour line, 914-665-2719. And again, if you have an issue or a concern, you can reach us at DPW Concerns at cmvny.com. I mean, you can always call the commissioner's office, but the email provides you with a track record of having reached out, and it allows us also to reach back out to you in writing so that you can have in writing what we promised to do. So email is always better. Like you said, you have the receipts. The next thing that we want to kind of give a quick update on is the vaccinations. We know that last Wednesday we were able to start making appointments for vaccinations at the FEMA and New York State mass vaccination site over in Yonkers. They are Mount Vernon and Yonkers zip codes have just a few more days of exclusive access to make those appointments. So they are making appointments for 107, 01, 03, 04, and 05. Those are Yonkers zip codes. And in Mount Vernon, 105, 50, 52, and 53. And they started booking those appointments last Wednesday. You have today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, Mount Vernon residents and Yonkers residents still to exclusively book your appointments. So you can call or you can go online and register. If you want to call, the vaccination hotline is 1-833-697-4829, 1-833-697-4829, or you can go on the state's website at ny.gov/vaccine, ny.gov/vaccine. For those who might have challenges or having a hard time getting through and you need some assistance and you need some support, you can always reach out to our Mount Vernon Department of Recreation at 914-665-2420. Our Department of Recreation and Office of the Aging are helping people go online and make appointments, as well as to make calls to the hotline. If you are a veteran and you need assistance, a veteran, a reservist, an active duty member, a family member of a veteran, please reach out to our Veteran Services Agency at 914-665-2319, 914-665-2319. And I have to go back and also get Diane Atkins, who works for the county, has been partnering with us. So if you also need assistance in getting an appointment online or via phone, you could also reach out to Diane Atkins. That's datkins@westchestergov.com, datkins@westchestergov.com. And for some reason, I believe her number is 995-2839. I will confirm that before the show is out. But there are different phone numbers that you can call if you need extra assistance. I know many of the churches, the neighborhood associations, the cultural organizations, the civic organizations are assisting people who are having a hard time or may not be as computer savvy. They are helping people make appointments. And if and only if you need transportation because you do not have transportation, you do not have a way to get over there, you cannot get a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a church member, someone who you don't like, but you can get a ride from to take you over there, then also reach out to 914-665-2420. That is our Department of Recreation, and they will assist you in arranging transportation over to the mass vaccination site at 2 Quincy Place. They are making appointments. The appointments are from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday, every day, 7 days a week. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. are the appointment times. So you have time to go early in the morning. You can go after work. We still have 2 more days of exclusive access to registration. Please take full advantage of that time. So, Councilman Thompson, what are some of the updates you have? Where do you want to jump in? We just wanted to give some basic information in the beginning of this meeting. Now we kind of just want to jump in and have a discussion.
Yes, I'm just happy the community is they're still being our eyes and ears of what's going on in the community. They hit me up all the time, letting me know if any problems, like you spoke about potholes, things that are happening on the streets that need to be addressed. So as I drive through the city every single night, it's nice to see that other people are concerned about the city as well, and they're looking for us to move forward. So, yeah.
I mean, one of the things that you've been talking about is our Love My City campaign. So the Love My City campaign is something that we are looking to fully launch. Love My City, Love Your City. Which one do you like better, Love My City or Love Your City?
Love My City.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to have to take a poll. Some people like Love My City, Love Your City. So, we really want to do a Love My City campaign or Love Your City campaign. And it's all about really taking responsibility for our community, taking responsibility. I drove with our Deputy Commissioner Robert Hackett this morning from 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. all around the community this morning. And we drove up and down different blocks and different neighborhoods. We know that there are some people who put garbage out early or put garbage out improper. We know there's people who put out recyclables or mattresses or things on the wrong days. So we took note of all of that. But then we also noticed in a lot of neighborhoods, especially in your neighborhoods where you have heavy foot traffic, the litter. There's a difference between DPW picking up litter. There's a difference between sweet streepers coming and sweeping the base of the streets and over near the sidewalks, the curb areas. And then there's a difference between people just throwing down McDonald's cups and food wrappers and chicken bones and everything else, as they walk from place to place. If you throw down garbage, that is not necessarily DPW's business. There's a difference between your neighborhood and your hood. I mean, you got to love your neighborhood as much as you love your hood and respect it. If you don't respect your neighborhood, then other people are not going to respect your neighborhood. And some people will say, oh, there's different neighborhoods that look better than other neighborhoods. Exactly. Because in certain neighborhoods, people come out and sweep in front of their houses.
They
In
take
my
pride.
neighborhood,
Yeah.
I live on South 3rd Avenue. On my block, when I leave out my house in the morning, if something is on my lawn, if something is in front of my house, if something is off the curb, I pick it up. My husband gets out there, he sweeps. I'll get out there and I'll sweep. We pick up in front of our house. There are certain businesses that will look better than other businesses. Why? Because they don't allow people to hang out in front of their business. They don't allow people to throw wrappers in front of their business. And they get out and they clean in front of their business and they clean in front of the stores. And the same thing has to happen all throughout the city. If it is your building, if it is your house, if it is your neighborhood, how are we also taking care of our own neighborhoods? The city has its part to do, but we as residents, whether you're electeds or whether you're just people who live in the community, we have our part to do in the neighborhood as well.
Absolutely. I was just sharing a story. I was speaking to a young lady in the community, and she was standing there eating some chicken. And after I finished speaking to her, she was talking about the rats that are in the city now. And oh, I've seen rats around residential areas and blah blah blah. And then right after she finished speaking to me, as I'm getting back in my car, I see her dropping a chicken bone. And I said, "You remember you talked about those rats? Well, you're feeding them.
Right.
It's just like you gotta when you finish your garbage, put it in the garbage. It's we can't just litter our streets and expect our streets to look immaculate when we're part of the problem. So you got to make sure that you're cleaning up after yourselves. And I remember as a child when I threw something on the ground, my mother made me pick it up off the ground and put it in the garbage can. So we have to train ourselves to make our community the way we see it. We have to change the narrative ourselves, and we can only do that together.
We can only do that together. I mean, I drove around. We literally drove around. We went from Kingsbridge Road and over into the Heights, South Side. We went Fleetwood. We went Prospect Avenue and Lincoln Avenue. We went down near the Bronx line and down First Street towards 241st and Question Parkway. We went all over the community and all over the city. Um, whether you own a home, whether you're renting a home, whether you're living in an apartment building, our neighborhood is our neighborhood. And the way we treat our neighborhood will determine how other people treat our neighborhood. It's really interesting. When you're walking in a neighborhood and there's garbage on the ground, you're more likely to drop something on the ground. When you go a few blocks over and it's a neighborhood where the neighborhood is clean and nobody's littering, then you have something and you're more likely to hold it in your pocket or hold it in a bag until you get to a garbage or until you get home and throw it in the garbage. And so garbage begets garbage. And so we're going to have our DPW crews going out and we're going to send out a few hand crews to really just go. We wrote down a lot of different areas where we saw some things. We have 5 street sweepers, everyone. The city of Mount Vernon owns 5 street sweepers. And generally on Monday and Tuesday, we do the south side. And on Wednesday and Thursday, we do the north side. One is on the south side, one side of the road one day, the other side of the street another day. Right now, our 5 machines, we have 2 down. So we only have 3, which is going to cause us to miss some routes. So we have 3, we have 2 street sweepers down right now. We can't get them fixed because unfortunately vendors have not been paid. But we're asking that you're patient with us. If you have the ability to sweep in front of your house, please sweep in front of your house. We're not asking you to do our job, but we're asking you to do your part. And we will reach out and let you know some of the adjusted ways that we'll be hitting the neighborhoods with the street sweepers. Look, most of the snow has melted. If there's a little bit of snow, please, let's not even start talking about alternate side of the street parking. We need people to move their cars. And I have instructed my foremen and our officers to go out there and start ticketing, because if people don't move their cars, then the street sweepers cannot get through to clean the streets. If the street sweepers cannot get through to clean the streets, and we've been canceling alternate side of the street parking because of the snow, if they can't get through to clean the the streets, we have dirty streets. The more garbage we have in the streets, the worse our community looks. But then it also starts to get down into the stormwater drains, and that causes a whole different problem for our very old sewer and stormwater system. So we need people to honor alternate side of the street parking and move. COVID has been here now for almost a year, and it's going to be around for a while more, and people are not going to be fully going back to work and fully going back to school. And so we need people to work with us and move your cars. We will continue to reach out to the school district. Since they're not fully back in school totally, if we can use parts of their parking lots and municipal parking lots for those hours when you need to move your car, but we need you to move your car. The city's not trying to get rich off of your tickets, but at the same time, we have to deal with alternate side of the street parking. If you don't do one thing, it causes another problem.
Right.
You
We
know,
can't complain that our streets are dirty or the streets are not being fixed when people are not doing their part. You have to make sure you move your cars. You moving your cars allows the city to clean the streets. They allow the city to do street repairs. Because you move your car, we may see a pothole that needs to be addressed as the people are cleaning the streets. So it's imperative that everybody pitches in, do your part, help out.
do your part and help out. The other thing that's, sometimes it's also just being neighborly.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes part of this is being neighborly. People have parking challenges all across the region. You have more people now who are doubling up in houses, doubling up in apartments. You have friends and family living with you. You have more cars in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some people who have driveways and who are still using the street, not fully using their
Yeah.
driveways. So that causes a challenge. So if you have a driveway and you have two cars, kind of squeeze both of your cars in the driveway so that people who may not have a driveway can park on the street. So, we have to be considerate of our
Mm-hmm.
neighbors. We have to be considerate of our neighbors. Some people have 3 and 4 cars. All 3 and 4 cars may not be able to be parked in front of your house. Take the 2 that you use the most and move the other 2 a few blocks down, and be considerate of your neighbors. One of the other things that we have been addressing and we will continue to address is, and please, we're asking you, if you have information on these properties, we have a lot of people doing illegal car repairs in the neighborhood. Everybody has an extra little hustle, and so next thing you know, they're fixing cars at their house, and they're parking these cars in residential neighborhoods that they're fixing, and that's taking up parking in different neighborhoods. And it's also causing, different types of dirt and grime in the neighborhood. And then we have auto repair shops who are bringing in cars, and they're just leaving cars that have no registration for years and no license
Mm-hmm.
plates, on the street. So let us know about those, because we do
Mm-hmm.
have our police department, DPW, and our ordinance officer, and our quality of life task force out there looking for these things. So please share that information with us as well, so that we can go to those locations and address them. We're not going to always tow the cars, because sometimes that's what they want us to do. They want to take the junk cars and put them on the street for the city to come and tow them. But what we're going to do is really just start
Find the
finding, we're
right.
going to find these different businesses and get them to change their behavior, because this is about respecting the community, respecting the neighborhood where you do business, and being a good business partner in the city of Mount Vernon. So, don't be shocked when we start enforcing things. It's really interesting, because when you start enforcing rules, the first thing people want to tell you is, I voted for you. I said, okay. It was like, but you didn't hear me? I voted for you. I said, okay. I said, so what does that mean? But you're going to give me a ticket? I pulled up on some people the other day working on some cars illegally in a place, and they said, well, I voted for you. I said, well, then don't vote for me the next time. Because, like, the people who are complaining about you might have
Mm-hmm.
voted for me too. And if the only way that I can keep your vote is just to allow you to do whatever you want to do in the community, and it goes against the rules, it brings down the quality of life. Sorry. If the only way you're going to vote for me is if you play loud music and you're disrespectful to your neighbors, no.
Right. You voted for someone to get the job done. You didn't vote someone in to do you any favors. So,
Mhm.
the favors are out the door. I tell people that all the time. I thank you for voting for me, but you voted for me to get a job done. I'm here to make sure that I'm the voice for the community and do what's needed for the community. So, you got to make sure that you hold us accountable, but we got to also hold you accountable.
Yeah, I mean, with all respect, yesterday I pulled into the Food Bazaar parking lot, and they have like a whole thing set up there. I mean, they
Right.
had cars jacked up. I was like, what are
Yeah,
we doing? Are we
yeah.
really? We have an outdoor, we have a pop-up auto mechanic shop. And I pulled over and I spoke to the guy. I said, this has to end, right? I said, enjoy this weekend because this is ending. And I took his name and I took his phone number and he said, I voted for you. And the 5 people in my house voted for you. I was like, great. So, but you can't set up shop in the supermarket parking lot. And he said, but I'm trying to take care of my family. I want to feed my family. You're going to keep us from doing legal work? I said, no, just because I say you can't fix cars in this parking lot doesn't mean you can't find a legal place for
Right.
you and these 4 other people who you've made a business together to do this work. Y'all need to look for a place where you can do this work and get licensed. But right now you're using the space for free. But if we're not doing this and we're not making legal money, you want us to go on the street and do crime? I was like, look, if you choose to go on the street, like if that's your only answer,
Right.
if that's your only answer and you feel that's the only solution, then I can't help you. But we can sit down and have a conversation, but you can't keep running a business outside of this parking lot, with all due
Mhm.
respect. Like I can't just pop up a business and do business anywhere I want to. And that's something that, we're all gonna have to respect here. We know everyone is trying to make a dollar or a dime. We understand the economy is difficult, but at the same time, we have to respect our community. Just the bottom line.
Als- Also, I know my grandmother had a saying where she said, "A willing worker can always find work." And then anyone who knows me know that I know how to do almost everything because you got to train yourself to make sure that you can always have a source of income coming in, right? So
Mhm.
you have to make sure that if you have to feed your families, by all means, just follow the guidelines. Make sure you're following protocol. You don't want to get into any trouble. At the same time, you don't want to become a street worker, as I call it. So make sure that you're following suit. You got to make sure you're doing your part. If you want to be a mechanic, make sure you have some certifications in that field so you can go to somewhere like Mavis Tires over on 15th Avenue or some of the shops that are around and work within those shops. But we can't just let people plague the streets with whatever they want to do. Mount Vernon has been a free for all for far too long, and it has to stop. I love you all, but it has to stop. We have to have some order at some given time, and mainly it's on the south side of the city that everybody thinks that they can just do what they want to do. I love the south side, and I have to make sure that the south side looks just as clean as the north side because last time I checked, this is just one Mount Vernon. So we have to
So
make sure each side looks great.
absolutely, absolutely. Oh, so we have some people that came in and said they like to love my city. Um,
Mhm.
So look, one of the things that I'm looking at some of the comments. I'm looking and seeing some of the comments, and they're saying um, it should not be up to business owners to act as police and or allow people to hang out in front of their stores. That can be very risky for them. Well, that's the cost of doing business. If you have a business, if you have a club, if you have a store, I mean, then either you hire security or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, our police department can't just stand in front of a business all day and keep people moving. There are a lot of these businesses that are kind of harboring people who loiter in front of
Mhm.
their stores. They might keep drugs in their stores. They might keep weapons in their stores.
Mhm.
They're constantly hanging out in front of their stores and they make business for them. But then when there's a problem, then the business owners complain. And so, if you open up a business, there is some risk. And that is the cost of doing business. So the business owners can always hire some type of security, but we have, 200 police officers in the city and not 200 working all at one time in one shift. We cannot just stand in front of every business. Business owners do have some level of responsibility for people
Mhm.
who are hanging outside of their business. And then there are other business owners who will put the phone calls into us and say that they have unwanted people hanging out in front of their business, and we will try and respond to that. But then there are some businesses that are just bad businesses
Mhm.
that harbor people. And they benefit from people hanging out in front of their store, drinking, smoking, hanging out, shooting dice. So those are the business owners that we really have to deal with, because we really don't want their business in Mount Vernon.
And the easiest way for business owners, like I tell them, I visited a couple of businesses on Third Street, and I said the easiest way to make sure people don't hang out in front of your business, put a sign there, and also put a camera there. Nobody wants to do no craziness in front of a camera, so put a camera in front of your business, and people are only going to come to your store when they're ready to purchase what you're selling out of your store legally. So, make sure your store is cambered, and you can alleviate some of the riffraff that's coming in and throughout your store. But a lot of these stores are, who have this riffraff, they're a part of the problem. And take notice, you will be shut down very soon. Because when
I
I
mean,
visit, I'm telling on you. That's right.
one of the things that businesses can do is put a camera outside of their business.
Absolutely.
Put cameras outside of your businesses, and that just keeps track of what's happening. So, like I said, some of it's quality of life, some of it's business owners being good businesses, and then we have some own businesses that are very, very good, and they're constantly telling people to move from in front of their business, and they sweep in front of their businesses, and they clean in front of their businesses. And those are the type of business owners that we want here in Mount
Hmm.
Vernon, not businesses that are going to try and harbor people who are doing criminal activity or don't mean the neighborhood any good. So while we're talking about businesses and we're talking about people making a dollar and a dime and trying to make ends meet and they're entrepreneurs, one of the things that I've talked about is moving your hustle to a business. A lot of people have a lot of side hustles, but it never gets to the place of being a full business. And so the city of Mount Vernon, through our urban renewal agency, through our planning department, we do a program with the Women's Economic and Enterprise Development Center, WEDC. And it really is all about entrepreneurship and how to take your business, or how to get your business started, how to do your business plan, how to do your promotion, how to gain access to capital. And when we talk about gaining access to capital, that's really important. A lot of people start their businesses off the books because they don't want to pay taxes. So a lot of times when you're starting your business, it's off the books. The challenge is when you keep your business off the books. If you're cutting hair and you never get a bank account and you never start keeping books to show how much you're taking in and how much you're spending, then when it comes time to go to a bank and get a loan or investors to take your business to the next level, you can't show your profits and your loss. If you're doing hair, if you're building websites, if you're taking care of children, if you're repairing cars, if you're making body butters, whatever it is that you're doing, look, everybody
Right.
everybody has a business. Candles, whatever it is that you're doing, incense, Blue Nile oils, and all of that, aromatherapy, whatever it is that you're doing.
Mhm.
We really want you to connect with our Department of Planning, with our Industrial Development Agency, because we are really working and trying to provide resources to our residents who are looking to start businesses or take their business to the next level, so that they can see how to really do it. It is a 16-week course. We started it last March, and we did finish it in COVID online. So look out for that announcement for when we're going to be starting that class again. I know there are organizations also like SCORE, that does those business classes. So, really, we want to work with people to expand their capacity to have strong businesses. We want to work with people to start learning how to sell their wares online, whatever they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, how to put it online, how to market what you're doing. Because with so many people shopping online or different pop-up shops, we really want people to learn how to do that so that they can expand their businesses, so that they can be successful, so they can be good taxpayers in the community and really contribute to the economic development of our community. We know that entrepreneurs and small businesses are some of the biggest investors in our community. They are the ones that are creating jobs, not necessarily the big corporations, but entrepreneurs and small businesses, create almost half the jobs in an economy. And so we want to help people get to the next level of business and support them in developing those skills and connecting to those resources.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it's important that people who have a business learn how to market themselves, also learn how to do their own bookkeeping and report their finances. Because when you report your finances and pay taxes on your finances, when it's time for you to go get the car you want, these finances are reportable and they're a source of income that's documented. When you're looking to buy a home and things of that nature, they'll see this as a source of income and what you made last year. Like anything you buy, any of those big purchases, the first thing they want to see are your W-2s, your your taxes from the 2 previous years and things of that nature. So you got to start looking out for yourself. We invest so much in other people's business, and if you have your own business, make sure you're investing in yourself and doing it properly. So when that time comes for you to purchase something that's considered a big purchase in your life, you have this documentation for some kind of support.
Absolutely. So some of the other things that we're doing here in the city is, we've talked about it on the show before, but we're getting
Hmm.
closer to the date, is Mayors for Guaranteed Income. So this is not being paid for out of city monies. This is monies that we are getting from grants, monies that we will be raising to assist. So Mayors for Guaranteed Income is understanding that, COVID-19 really exposed how much on the margin, there's very little margin for so many of the people in our community. If you get a bad tire, if you miss a day of work or a shift, how that might impact your ability to pay your rent, how it might impact your ability to pay your utilities, pay for childcare, things of that nature. And so we know that there are so many people who are really perched at any moment. One month you got to take money out of your phone bill and your Con Ed money to catch up on your rent. Next month, you got to pull back on your rent to pay your Con Ed and your phone. Another time, you got to pull back on all of that to take care of childcare or to do a repair in the house or something of that nature. So Mayors for Guaranteed Income, we are a group of mayors across the country that believe that there should be an income floor. And so we are working with different philanthropists from around the country, and Mount Vernon will be participating in this, where we'll be giving 75 families $500 a month for 12 to 18 months. $500 a month to 75 families for 12 to 18 months. And this is going to be a cash benefit. This is not money that's going to go to their landlord or to their utility bill. Most likely, it will be given to them on a debit card. A debit card will work with a local bank, and each month we'll upload this money on this debit card, and they can use that money towards what they need to use it for to take care of their family. Some people are like, well, why would you give money to people? We bail out corporations all the time. We're going to be giving out loans to some of our small businesses in the community. And so why shouldn't we help our people? We know that cash is the currency of urgency. And when you help families out like that, the money just comes right back into the community. When people have gotten these stimulus checks, you've seen a bump in the sales and the tax revenues, the sales tax revenues immediately. And so no one does well by seeing people get evicted. No one does well in the community by people getting their phone and their Con Ed turned off or not being able to pay for childcare. So we will be working with about 75 families. And we will also provide them with some financial counseling and assistance and support through our Financial Navigators program that will help them with budgeting and finding other resources. So that is what we'll be doing for Mayors for Guaranteed Income. Those applications should be coming out in the next 2 to 3 weeks, definitely before the end of March. Another thing that will be coming out in the next few weeks, some of this also comes from our COVID CARES money, but that money was held up for a long time because we couldn't gain access to it. But in working with the city council, we were able to get this monies to come in another route to the city. So we will be giving loans of 10 to 15,000, not loans, grants of 10 to $15,000 to some of the small businesses in our community. And they will be required to either hire and maintain employment for a person for the year. Yeah, they have to maintain employment or hire a person for at least a year. To just have this money strictly be a grant. So this is money that we're getting from the federal government through the COVID CARES money. It's going to come through HUD, and we will be putting those applications out in the next 2 to 3 weeks as well. We'll be sending information out through our chamber and through our merchants associations and different business associations here in the city of Mount Vernon. And we will be putting out more information about the qualifications, but we want to help our small businesses. We are a small government. We don't have endless money, but we want to do our part in helping the businesses survive and get through this time of crisis. Are any of how are you supporting small businesses in Mount Vernon, Derek?
You said, how am I supporting?
Yes.
Most of my shopping throughout the week, I make sure that I visit the local businesses, the small mom and pop shops, as you would call it. I make sure that I frequent them all the time. People see me every morning buying breakfast from the local businesses and things of that nature. But I also make sure that I visit the stores and keep them abreast of any information that they may need and not know about. It's like the old saying, sharing is caring. So
Yes.
stop by and make sure that you're just doing your part to keep people informed. And as far as our residents, every time we have our grab and go with the food drives and things of that nature, whether it's coming from the Dole Center or the various churches, I have about 20 families that I stop by, and these are families who can't get around. So I make sure that I go and pick the food up for them and bring it to their households and do some curbside delivery. I call them when I'm downstairs. I'm downstairs, come pick up your package and things of that nature. We got to get back to that community where we actually care about one another and we care about each other's well-being, looking out for one another. I remember when we were kids, growing up in community. Everybody knows that I'm born and raised here. The families just looked out for one another. I remember when I lived in the building, people used to knock on your door. Can I borrow an egg? Can I borrow some sugar? And
Sugar.
things of that, right, things of that nature. We got to get back to that kind of community where we care about one another and we want to make sure that we look after each other. There's an elderly woman who lives in the house across the street from my home. I make sure that when it snows, I go and shovel her steps and put salt down for her and make sure I clean off her car. God forbid if she has to go somewhere, that she doesn't have to struggle to do it herself because her family lives down south. That's just a part of being a part of a community who cares about one another and make sure that you look after each other. Yeah.
It doesn't just take a village to raise a child. It takes a village to take care of a village.
Absolutely.
Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my sister's keeper? Absolutely. You are your brother and your sister's keeper. We have to watch each other and not watch to find people doing something wrong, but watch out for each other to see what we might need and how we might be able to assist one another. It's just so very important.
What amazes me about not only Mount Vernon but several communities, when they hear something negative going on, they hurry up and share that and flash that everywhere. But when there's something positive going on in the community, they're reluctant to share that information. We got to start reversing that. Every time that you see something positive going on in your community, like this conversation tonight. I'm quite sure you won't get 100 shares, but if we were on here fussing and cussing and acting a fool, it'll be shared all throughout the community.
They were like,
So
oh,
start.
Shawyn and Derek were going in on each other.
Yeah, it's like you got to start making sure that you share positive information. I like every day I try to uplift someone in the community or someone who has actually lived in Mount Vernon, whether you're born and raised. If you actually lived in Mount Vernon, I make sure that we honor you on my page and things of that nature. It's just trying to highlight some of the positive things that are going on in the community because so often people only gear into the negativity.
The
And you got to make
negative.
sure that, like I said, we're in control of the narrative we want to see in and throughout our city, and we can only change that narrative together.
Together. I love every morning I get up and one of the first things I see is Derek Thompson has tagged
Right?
you in a post. And I'm like, oh, who is he honoring today? MVP, Mount Vernon Proud. And so that
Yeah,
is something beautiful that you do. I mean, you've
thank you.
honored everyone from teachers to city workers
Hmm.
to people in the community, to pastors, to businesses. You've honored
It's
activists and young people. And
yeah.
so thank you so much.
Anytime, and what's funny to me, like I put things up there, and then people start inboxing me. I didn't know this person was from Mount Vernon. I didn't know this person was born in Mount Vernon. I'm like, yeah, it's like sharing information to like uplift people and say you can do something because they've done it. And a lot of times, some people don't think that someone should be recognized, but you can't take away what they've done in and throughout the community or in and throughout these tri-state areas. So you have to make sure that you just highlight it. And it's all about uplifting. No one's going to be perfect. So anytime I see anything
No
negative,
one's gonna be perfect, Patty.
right, nobody's going to be perfect, Patty. But
Oh,
I make
that was
sure,
petty. I'm
right,
sorry.
right. No, but I make sure, and I look at each, if you go down all of the timelines, I make sure that I like every comment because if I see any negativity, I immediately erase it and then block the person because I don't have time for negativity when we're trying to uplift people and uplift the community. So it's
And
nothing against you individually. If you're a negative person and that's who you are, I have to accept you for who you are, but you're going to be who you are over there.
not on your page.
Not on my page because I'm all
Not on
about
your.
positivity, and you have to make sure you're uplifting people without the chaos.
It's sad because it was interesting the other day. There was an older man who lived on Third Avenue who died. Older man had a medical illness. He died. Next thing you see on Facebook, oh, somebody got shot on Third. No one got shot. An
Oh,
old person died. The medical examiner came. They died in their home. The medical examiner came, but people were so quick to say someone got shot, and then it got, oh, Mount Vernon is going downhill. Oh, Mount Vernon is a mess. Oh, they shot another person. I see the medical examiner picking up a body. People die because they're old. People die because they're young and sick.
they have
People
ailments.
die for many reasons other than being shot, being stabbed, being beat. People
But
die.
and I'm glad you brought that up because that's another topic we got to address. A
The
lot of
fake
times,
news.
I've been to several funerals in and throughout this community. I try to show up and be supportive to the families. But what we have to do is stop making excuses for our children. Now, a lot of times we know that our kids are the gun shooters out here, right? We know that our children are the violent ones. But then when something happens to your child, now we get on the news or we say it in throughout the community, he was just about to go to college or she was just about to do this. And, start talking to your children and being involved in your children's lives. And when they're making these kind of bad decisions, as we call them, you got to make sure you step up and you be the first advocate for your child saying, listen, you can't be doing this. And you got to sit down with them. If you don't know how to sit down with them, ask for help so you can have somebody else sit down with them. But we can't keep burying our young people because we refuse to step up to the plate and have these difficult conversations with them so we can end all of this street beef that is unnecessary. I hate to see us having to bury young men and young women over foolishness. It has got to stop.
I mean, a lot of, a lot of some of the crime that was happening and the shootings that were happening earlier last year, a lot of it was happening around these little Ponzi schemes and people trying to little get rich quick schemes
Yeah.
and trying to make money with the wrong people. It was interesting because people have said it several times. When I was younger, my mother went through my room. She went through my stuff. She said, if you live in my house, I'm going through your stuff because you don't
Mhm.
have the right to
There's no
privacy.
privacy, right?
There is no privacy. There was no privacy in Sharon Patterson Lockett's house. There was no
You weren't paying
privacy.
no bills. You didn't have privacy, and
You
don't you
had
lock the
no
door.
business. My mother was like, "You ain't got no business. You have no business." And so what's interesting is someone said it, and I was like, "Wow, it's so true." They said you will go through your man's phone, but you won't go through your kid's phone.
Right.
You worried
That's a
about who
problem.
he's messing with. You know more about who they chasing than who your kids are hanging with. And so we have to get back to being parents. Shauna Holmes says it all the time. She was like, we have to take responsibility for our kids. We have to know what's going on. We have to be honest about who they are, who they're hanging
Mhm.
it with, what they're caught up in. Some parents have to be honest about the fact that they're helping you to pay your rent and your bills and get your nails and your hair done. We have to be honest about it. We have to stop acting shocked
And
when they
yeah,
get caught up in something. You don't know where they're bringing that money home from. So
and
we have
stop trying to be your child's friend. You are not your child's friend. You are your
you
child's parent.
parent,
You are
parent,
a parent. You don't need any friend. Find some friends your age, but be a parent to your
be a
child.
parent to your child.
That's just crazy to me. And if your child is a street runner and you allow if your child let me tell you what a street runner is. If your child sells drugs in and throughout our community and you don't say anything because they hit you up with a couple of $100 here and there, you are a part of the problem. This is me in
You're
your face. You are a part of the problem.
Let's say it. I mean, Derek, I'm just enjoying having this regular organic conversation with you tonight. We're running through a whole bunch of different issues, but we're
Right.
talking about our community. We're
Hmm.
talking truth about our community. We may not sound like your normal elected officials because we're
Hmm.
not politicians. We are elected officials. We
People,
are
I
public
tell them I'm a
servants.
peopletician.
A peopletician. I want to
Hmm.
be a peopletician, but I don't want to be a mortician. So let's
Right.
stop
Come
killing
on.
our babies. Let's stop be out here killing each other. And I want to be a peopletician. I love it. I'm right. A peopletician.
Peopletician. That's
A
what I am.
peopletician.
And
All right.
a lot of people they see me going hard when we're in the city council meetings and things of that nature. The angrier I get, I understand the loud. I have a big voice, so the angrier I get, the louder my voice gets because I be burning up on the inside. But the thing is, I'm advocating for the city, and I'm saying things. I understood that in order to have a voice, I had to get a seat at the table. That was the main reason I ran for city council. So as I'm sitting there, and some people may think I'm going off, but I'm just not going to allow anyone in the community to give you a hamburger and tell you that it's filet mignon, right? So if they're not being completely honest with you, completely real with you, I got to call their BS to the table. So it's not me going after people. It's just making sure that everyone in position is doing what's best for this city we love and this city we call home.
I mean, that's plain and simple. The intent of what you are doing has to be right. It has to be
Hmm.
for the community and about the community. I don't own any property here other than my personal home. I'm
Hmm.
not trying to make money off the back of Mount Vernon. And that's what, some people are about making that money off the back of Mount Vernon. Everyone's not corrupt and everyone's not trying to get rich off of Mount Vernon.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things that we have to talk about is the difference between gentrification and revitalization. We have to have that conversation. I'm so tired. People say, oh, gentrification, gentrification. If there are no apartments or homes or anything there now, and we are building something nice for the neighborhood, for the community, that is not gentrification. That is revitalization.
You know what?
That's what it is. Gentrification is when you take poor people and you move them out of
Push
the
them out. right.
You push them out. When you're looking at some parts of Third Street which haven't been touched or developed, and you're not
Decades.
collecting any taxes off of those abandoned buildings which are crumbling, and everyone who's a developer is not a terrible person. There are people who are investing in the community. We need housing, we need parking, we need building. I mean, businesses. So we have to attract what's going to be good for the community. Some places you're going to have what we call 60% AMI, meaning homes and apartments for people who make between 45 and 65,000. Other places, you're going to put your more expensive housing because real estate's about location, location, location. And so when you're near the train stations and when you're near the borders of the community, sometimes those apartments are going to be more expensive. And so we have to make sure that we are fixing some of the areas of and the neighborhoods in our community that have been ignored for 20 years. I live on 3rd Avenue and 5th Street, 2 blocks away from 3rd and 3rd. I walk, that's my neighborhood. That's my community. There's so many abandoned properties that are falling apart. And so when we're trying to bring housing into those neighborhoods, when we're trying to bring businesses into those neighborhoods, we're not trying to bring in $3,000 a month apartments, but nobody can pay. You can't get a room at the Y for $500. You can't get a room at the Y for $600. So no one's giving away apartments anymore. The days of just being able to pay 30% of your income towards your rent, that's over. No one's building public housing at that level anymore. You know why? Because they can't maintain it. When you don't have to pay any level of rent, then what happens is you move into a nice place, but because the owner can't maintain the building, it eventually declines. And so we have to find a balance between what is affordable and what is fair and what is going to work for our community. And it's going to look different in different neighborhoods, but we have to stop just allowing some of the neighborhoods within our community to go on a decline. You have to stop making people scare you by talking about gentrification. We are not trying to sell the city out to anyone, but we are trying to get rid of the blight in the neighborhoods. Don't allow people who don't live in your neighborhood or in that area to tell you what should be in your neighborhood. Because they would never allow buildings to be abandoned in their neighborhood for 20 years.
I'm glad you brought this up because I tell people all the time, how dare we be so comfortable with seeing our city just crumble and fall apart and go to other cities and praise them for how it looks, right? We have to say like this is not gentrification, it is revitalization, like you said. And we look at the south side of our community because I'm very passionate about the south side. I was born and raised on the south side of Mount Vernon. And we look at these places that have been vacant for 20, 30 years, doing nothing but collecting rodents and things of that nature. And you talk about building things that are positive in it throughout the community, and so many people are set against it because they heard of this. Gentrification is real. However, everything is not gentrification. When I was growing up, Fourth Avenue was the place to go for shopping and things of that nature. Now you walk up Fourth Avenue, it's disgusting, plagued with 99-cent stores and things that you really don't want, buildings that are falling apart and things of that nature. But then you go a couple of blocks up and you're in Yonkers, it's nice. You go a couple of blocks up and you're in New Rochelle, it's nice because they've invested in their community. So how dare we become so comfortable with living and going shopping in other areas and not want to invest in our areas and make sure that our areas are revitalized so we can shop here and be comfortable here and live here. We got to do better.
So let's talk about investing in the community. It kills me. Everybody is a warrior for a cause, but you never supported certain things when it was open, but you want to talk about how much you miss it, right? So I was the executive director of the Mount Vernon YMCA on 2nd Avenue. I was there. And I can tell you, I can tell you, and I just went back and I pulled the records because from 1996 to 2000 and I think maybe 10 once the Y closed, 2012. The city of Mount Vernon gave the YMCA $15,000 in almost 20 years. $15,000 for so the same people who want to stand up and talk about how important the Y is and how we need to invest and save the Y. It's not the Y. It hasn't been the Y since it closed. If anything, it would be a community center. But the city of Mount Vernon, now I was the CEO of the YMCA in Yonkers. And in Yonkers, as the CEO, the city of Yonkers gave the YMCA almost $350,000 a year for different programs, as well as for capital repairs, because they knew it was a community center that everyone used, from the seniors to the kids. But all Mount Vernon did was give the YMCA in Mount Vernon $5,000 for daycare scholarships for 3 years, over a 20-year period. Over a 20-year period. So God bless the YMCA building, because it's not the YMCA. It's not listed as a YMCA on any YMCA roster. But when I was there and we were giving $40 swim lessons for the month, that was 4 swim lessons, the community was like, oh, that's too expensive. But you had on $150 sneakers. You didn't support it when it was open. You hadn't been there. So many people who are screaming about it now, their kids haven't used it. They didn't go in there and use it. They took their money and went to Retrofit, Planet Fitness, other gyms. They didn't support the Y when it was open. Even if the city was able to renovate that building right now and go in and buy equipment and fix the gym and fix the pool, are you going to pay? Are you going to spend $80, $90, $100 a month on swim lessons? Are you going to spend $200 a year to put your child in there as a member? Are you as an adult going to spend $400 or $500? Because that's how much it costs to keep that organization running. Mount Vernon doesn't even have enough money right now to fully renovate that building, let alone hire the people, pay the insurance, pay the oil, the electric, the gas, the water bills to operate it. So we have this fantasy about getting this Y back. So everybody that's out there talking about how we need to save the building, get your behind up off of social media and go help raise some money, because everyone has this entitlement to these free services, but we can't even fill our potholes right now. How are we going to run a whole community center? So last Saturday, we had an amazing meeting. I've been meeting with some investors. These are some big financial people who've made hundreds of millions of dollars in the financial industry. And they're not from this community, but they're very interested in investing in this community. And they've been looking at the Armory and the Dole Center. And we did some walkthroughs. We have some construction people and architectural firms. And hopefully in the next few weeks, we will be announcing some very significant multi-million-dollar project that will happen over at the Dole Center that will bring a major expansion to the Dole Center. So we're not just trying to get rid of the Y building, but the city cannot maintain and do what we need to do to that building. There's asbestos, there's oil, the pipes in the pool that are underground now, water hasn't run through them in 8-9 years now. They're in bad shape. The building was not properly locked up. And so everything from the homeless to the animals have gone and destroyed that building. The city is not going to bring that building back online, and it is not fair to that community for it to continue to just go down and go down. And so, look, we can have good things in the community, but when we do get good things in the community, everything is not going to be free. Everything is not going to be free. There's going to be free things in Memorial Field, and there'll be some things at Memorial Field that you have to pay for. The reason that Memorial Field went into such disrepair is because we didn't charge and we didn't have money to maintain it properly. So with this almost $30 million investment, there'll be free activities for the community. There'll be paid activities for the community. There are times where we will have to rent it out to raise money so that we can continue to operate it. When we do these renovations and upgrades at the Dole Center, there will be free activities. There will be some activities that have to be paid for, and there'll be opportunities to rent. But we have to make sure that when we do things in our community, that we're supporting it. Everyone's like, oh, I like the Y in New Rochelle better, or the Y in White Plains better. Well, that's why their Ys lasted longer than ours, because we didn't support it. The Boys and Girls Club is struggling. If the Boys and Girls Club closed down tomorrow, people would act like the city of Mount Vernon did something terrible. How are you supporting the Boys and Girls Club now? What are you doing to support it? If the Razorbacks had to pick up and leave Mount Vernon, what did you do to support them? Did you give a scholarship to help a child register? Did you go down and volunteer your time as a coach or a cheerleading coach? We talk about what Mount Vernon doesn't have, but if you spent half the time volunteering as you did talking trash on Facebook, our community would be much better.
Absolutely. Like I tell people, make sure, be careful who you get your information from. If anytime I see someone with any kind of negative feedback, what I do to, especially if it's on Facebook, the first thing I do is scroll down their timeline and I say, okay, this is negative Nancy, because everything on this page is negative, right? You got to find something in life to be excited about. You got to find something in life to be positive about. Learn to smile. If you're so negative, just get in the mirror and smile a little bit. Even if you don't have any teeth, just get in the mirror and smile. Make yourself feel a little better. Get out of that negative spirit. Shake it off.
So we're going to do some community cleanup days. Let's see how many negative Nancys and negative Nelsons come out to help clean up the community. Let's see how many are going to help support the Razorbacks and volunteer for the Little League baseball season that's coming up. How many? Look, I go to those games down at Brush Park. And when I go down to those games, we have more people coming from other communities to support the visiting team than we have people in our community. Everyone says that nothing is happening, but you don't come out and support the things that are happening.
Absolutely.
We have STEAM programs. We have careers in medical and medicine that are happening. We have youth employment programs that are happening, and the youth employment summer program applications will be out in the next few days. Make sure that you are going to our Department of our Youth Bureau Facebook page. Make sure you're going on the CMVNY website, or make sure you're coming up to the Youth Bureau so that your children can get the application, because those applications will be due at the end of March. You cannot wait until Memorial Day. You cannot wait for Memorial Day to come and apply for a job that's going to be happening in 3 weeks. It doesn't happen that way.
Right.
And we only going to have like 200 and something jobs. So people have to jump on it now. Make sure that you're in it to win it. Sign up for the city emails. Go on cmvny.com. If you go on cmvny.com, sign up for the emails. If you sign up for the emails, we send out weekly email blasts with the mayor's report, but then we also send out more updated emails. And Mount Vernon, within the next month, probably in April, we're going to do a soft launch, and in May we're going to go full. We talked about a program called See Click Fix, but that was just a program that was going to allow you to take pictures of violations or things that you were concerned about and send it to the building department. We have updated it and upgraded it to CMVNY Connect. It will be a full app. It will be an app where you'll be able to send us information and concerns and complaints. You can take a picture, upload it into our app, and send it to the different departments. But we'll also be able to send information out to the community. So it will be a Mount Vernon app where you'll be able to get all of your updated information. So if you have a smartphone, you can have that information wherever you go. That's going to be CMVNY Connect. It will be available by May in the Apple Store, in Google Play, and it will be an app that will allow us to get information from the community as well as put information out to the community. We, we want to upgrade our website more often, but unfortunately our servers are 25 years old and they're continually breaking down. So we are redoing our websites. We are putting them up in the cloud. Please give us a little bit of extra time. We cannot fix everything that has not happened over the last 20 years overnight. We are working. We know we are residents just like you. We know the challenges. We know the complaints. Those are some of the very reasons that we ran. And
Right.
we are here now to address them.
Yeah. And when you talk about the various things that are going on for our children and then throughout the community, especially most of the things that are grant funded work on numbers. So make sure you get your children involved. Sign your children up for things that are happening with the youth bureau. Sign them up for any positive thing that's going on in the community, because a lot of these grant fundings come in because the numbers are there. So if you get them involved, when I was a child, I didn't have a choice. My mother was like, "No, you're gonna be a part of this. You're gonna be a part of this, and stuff like that." And I was upset, but then when I was actually a part of it, I enjoyed myself and I appreciated being a part of that. So you got to make sure that you put your children in these programs and make sure that they are involved. It's time out for just letting them sit on their computer or go in their room and things of that nature. A lot of children have allergies now because you refuse to let them go outside and play in the dirt.
They're
Get
so
them in the dirt.
fragile.
Yeah, get them in the
Dirt
dirt.
never hurt you.
Right, you got to let them. Before COVID, and after COVID, we got to make sure that we have several different things going on for our children. When I was a child here in Mount Vernon, every park in the city was open. Whether you were playing basketball, doing lanyard, remember the keychains? Everybody did the snake or the box and things.
Cobra
We gotta,
box.
yeah, we gotta bring all of that stuff back for our community because decades long, this didn't just happen. A lot of things have been taken out of our community and nothing else has been implemented. So we have to make sure that we put things in our community. And when those things come into our community, make sure you are involved and be a part of that. So that funding, that's those grants that are coming in to support that, continuously come in. It only
And
happens
just
with numbers.
And the same way that people look for deals online and they search for concert tickets and sneaker sales and Apple upgrades and fly gear is the same amount of time and energy that you can use to go look at the Youth Bureau Facebook page or go on CMVNY and look at what recreation is doing and seniors are doing. No one has time to knock on your door.
Hmm.
No, we can't send out robocalls, just say, oh, this is happening, that's happening. The city doesn't have that type of budget to do it.
Hmm.
People send out lots of robocalls and campaigns because they trying to get a seat, and that's monies that they raise. But we don't have that money in the city budget, nor do we have a finance person who will cooperate with us getting information out that way. But all you need to do is call up the youth bureau, call up the recreation department, call up the office of the aging, call up the veteran service agency to find out some things that are happening. Go to those Facebook pages, go on www.cmvny, sign up for the email blast at cmvny.com, and when we get CMVNY Connect, you'll be able to have the app and get a whole bunch of updated information. So we have gone over our time,
Hmm.
but that's
So,
okay, Derek. I had a good time chatting. Since we're over 10 minutes anyhow, Danny,
yeah.
since we're over a few minutes, you talked about it and we talked about it for a minute. We talked about the fake news. We talked about the
Hmm.
negative information. We talked about the partial truths, the half truths that are oftentimes put out, and how a lie will travel faster than the truth. And for some people, that's the only thing that makes them relevant because
Hmm.
because because before you was just some little person sitting on the side, really with no life. But now that you're always throwing shade, you that dude, right? So it's like a joke to me. Because you never call and confirm to get information. You always talk about word on the street, a
Right.
source, someone told me. You don't call and get any information, and the only thing that you share is negative. So you can't tell me that you love the community. You can't tell me that you are you're
Oh,
holding
this
people
what people have been
accountable.
doing for you?
You're holding people's feet to the fire. If all that you have to share is negative, and some of it's partial information, partial truth.
Right.
Now, I'm not throwing shade at anybody in particular. So trust me, if I was throwing shade at you, what my father-in-law used to say, a hit dog will holler. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if this is making you uncomfortable, then maybe that's you. But if I'm not, if I was talking about one person or 5 people or 10
Right.
people, then I would actually call out your names. But, this is just something that's not just Mount Vernon. It happens in Yonkers. I get on calls with mayors around the country, and they're talking about how social media has become so crazy that
Mm-hmm.
people just put on social media and put out whatever they want to. And because they're not held accountable for it, they just feel that they can do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that same energy that they put out there, oftentimes they don't bring that when they see you. But it's just what makes some people relevant. And we just have to be careful about where we get our information from. If you have questions, ask. We'll give you answers. I don't run and hide.
Absolutely.
I don't run and hide.
Absolutely. And I tell people, as you see elected, well, people who are trying to become elected officials, as residents, we have a job to do. And that job is, if someone has ever had an elected seat, you should have that Janet Jackson mentality where it says, what have you done for me lately? Right? What have they done for this community while they were in seat? If they occupied that seat and you can't recollect anything that they were doing positively to uplift this community and bring us forward, you don't need to elect them back to a seat. Also, if someone is running for a seat and they've never held a seat, whether it was elected or appointed, you have to say, okay, what's your game plan for this community? And you listen to what their strategies will be, but also look back into their history to say, what have they been doing in and throughout this community while they were on the sidelines? But it's time out for us just to elect people to be seat warmers and to utilize our city to build their resumes and make it look good, like things that they have done and things that they have accomplished, so called, allegedly. But we have to make sure that we are putting people in position who are really caring about our city and who really want to see our city thrive. We can't have anyone in position who's going to abstain from anything that's a necessity for our city. We can't have anyone in position who's going to vote no on essential things we need for our city. So you have to be very careful who you place in these seats. And although I have people who I'm very fond of running for positions, however, I can't consciously say I'm a vote for this person just because I know them. I got to look at the backstory and say, okay, how are they as a person? What will they bring? Will it be anything positive that they're going to bring forth for our city? And look
What's
how they shake and move through our city. If they haven't been doing anything in our city, they don't need a seat.
And so this is it. There's a difference between
Mhm.
being a yes person, co-signing, and being an obstacle and being obstinate.
Mhm.
No, I don't want anyone around me, not even my staff who I hire, let alone anyone who I'm going to work with as an elected official. Do I want them to be a yes person and just say yes to anything that I do? Anyone who's ever worked for me, worked with me, volunteered with me knows that I can't stand yes people. I've never been a
Right.
yes person, and I don't like yes people around me because they'll sit there and tell you yes in your face, but then later on when something goes wrong, they say, if they would have asked me or something like
Right.
that, well, I didn't believe we should do it that way. Well, then why didn't you say it when you were sitting at the table?
You
You
gotta
have
have
to
that
be that type of
conversation.
person
Yeah.
who can take feedback and incorporate other people's opinions of what needs to happen at the table.
Hmm.
But then at the same time, if there are people who want to come in just so they can be the gatekeeper, they can be the one that says no to everything, then how will we ever work together to move forward? There's a difference between having to like a person and being able to sit down and have conversations. You can't just ask questions when you yourself don't even have solutions or answers. So, what are you bringing to the table? Are you willing to work with people? Can you work with people? Or are you just going to sit there and always say, well, whatever you're doing, I'm not going to support it because I don't like you? It's never about whether you like me or not like me. It's about what we're trying to do for this community. And Mount Vernon will always stay behind other communities if all we do is fight, point fingers, and talk trash. I had an opportunity last week. I sit on the African American Mayor's Advisory Board, Board of Trustees, and I've had an opportunity to have meetings with two of the new federal secretaries of different departments and with their staff, and talk to them about some of the needs that we have here in Mount Vernon. And they're like, I'd like to come visit, or we'd like to come and look at some of the needs here. And then they Google our community. And when you Google Mount Vernon, all you see is this political drama, this back and forth, and everyone saying that everyone is corrupt. And so then they go, Mayor, I like you, but I mean, do we want to invest in the community? Will we be able to get a project done there? Will we be able to really help the community move forward? So Mount Vernon, we have to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. We spend more time fighting with each other than solving the issues and finding a way to come together and work on the issues. People don't want to come in and help us when they see that we can't even agree on anything that our community needs. So we have to find a way to get better. On Wednesday, we will have our police commissioner, Glenn Scott, on here with some of his leadership team, and we will be reviewing the police department. It'll be a 2020 year in review, and we'll talk about some of the challenges they had in 2020, some of the initiatives that they launched, some of the things that they did to address crime and address and improve community outreach. And then on Sunday, we will be talking about police reform. We'll be talking about police reform and have the police reform report out, hopefully, with the Civilian Police Commission, the Mayor's Commission that we put out to work on our recommendations around police reform that we'll be sending to the City Council and to the Governor. So this week is going to kind of be a public safety week. We'll talk about our yearly stats around policing in Mount Vernon and some of our initiatives. And on this coming Sunday, we will talk about police reform. So Wednesday, we'll talk about crime stats and service stats that we have here in the police department. And on Sunday, police reform, both of them at 8:00. And Councilman Thompson, I want to thank you for participating and working with the Police Reform Commission and putting time and energy. This year, you are the public safety chair, so you'll be working. And you have been, look, you were an active public safety person before you became chair. You show up at different crime scenes. You've shown up at fires. You've gone around and spoken to our different public safety. You've participated and worked with our Office of Emergency Management. So you're not the person who waits to get a title to do the work. You have been.
I'm serious about this thing here. You see.
You've been an advocate. People call and say, oh, there's garbage in my neighborhood. You go check it out. They say I have rats. You go check it out. They say there's violations on this block. You go check it out. So thank you, because you know how I know that you're out there? Because I run into you a lot out there.
Yeah, right.
I don't have to call you and say, oh, Derek, something's happened. I show up and you're there. Sometimes I get there and you're there. And because we're active and we're in the community. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate you. And we have to do this a little bit more often.
Yeah. Also, before I go tomorrow, I'm going to have a platform with a couple of people who are running for city council. So tune into my page tomorrow at 9 p.m. We're going to talk to these council persons and hear what their ideas are. And then there will be several platforms coming up as we get closer to Tuesday, June 22nd, election time. But people are going to be coming around with their petitions, trying to get on the ballot. And the hardest part is to make the ballot. But make sure when we're signing these petitions, make sure these are actually people you see in and throughout our community doing things for our community. Stop just putting people in place because you know them. You know, we're friendly with a lot of people, but that does not negate that they should have a seat. So, let's hear their platform and see how we should move forward.
So 9 p.m. on Derek Thompson's
Yeah,
page. Check it
it'll
out
be, yeah.
tomorrow at 9 p.m. He's going to have some people who are running for city council. And like you said, you're going to hold these platforms several times between now and primary day. Thank you as
Excellent.
always, my fellow peopletician and my
Yes,
brother,
people petition.
peopletician,
And
my
alternate side parking is in effect tomorrow. Y'all make sure you move those cars. It's in effect, right, Mayor?
alternate side of the street parking is in effect, and we will be ticketing if you do not move your car. We don't want to hear, oh, you just ticketed to make Mount Vernon rich. No, we're ticketing
Yeah.
because you didn't move your car. Period. Stop
Someone
making
posted
excuses.
on the page before. How do I know alternate side parking is in effect? Well, if you don't see snow up past your tire, that means you should move your car.
And if it's not a holiday, alternate
Right.
side of the street parking is in effect. On the
Right.
south side, alternate side of the street parking is Monday and Tuesday. On the north side, it is Wednesday and Thursday. And there are signs on your block that let you know which side of the street you can park on and what not.
Right.
And we have a DPW schedule. Go to the DPW page, go to CMVNY page. We've emailed the schedules out,
And I've
and
also posted that as well.
we're waiting for them to get printed. So people have asked, why haven't they all been in their mailboxes? You know right now that we are having a major issue in getting bills paid. I'm not pointing fingers. I am just stating facts. If we can't pay bills to our vendors, we can't order paper. If we can't order paper, we cannot print the DPW schedules. And if we cannot print the DPW schedules, we surely can't deliver them to your mailboxes. So right now, we are asking that you go to our social media pages and to our website pages. And then just remember, on the south side, Monday and Thursday is garbage pickup, Wednesday's recycling. On the north side, Wednesday and Friday is garbage. People know the
And
schedule.
I
Only
posted
changes for holidays.
I posted the schedule on my page last month. I'll make sure I share that again and also tag the mayor's page. But download it to your phone so you'll have it. A lot of people complain. I remember it was a week or two ago when that Friday no garbage was picked up. It wasn't on schedule to be picked up. They picked up
It
the
was a
garbage that
holiday.
Thursday. It was a
Holiday.
holiday, right? And if you looked at the schedule, it actually told you that. So download the
And that
schedule that I
Monday
put
was
on
a
the
holiday also. That's the only
exactly.
time it happens. That President's Weekend,
Hmm.
that Friday and that Monday, those are the holidays. And so, no, it wasn't that we ignored garbage pickup. They were holidays and garbage wasn't picked up. It was an inconvenience. And because we are not paying overtime and our DPW workers are not being paid overtime, on days when people kind of miss garbage or put garbage out on the wrong day, we're not able to go around and collect it because overtime is not being paid. Mount Vernon, we're living in a very different time. The bills are not being paid. It's a challenge. It impacts garbage pickup. It impacts snow removal. It impacts paving of streets. It impacts filling of potholes. It impacts boarding up abandoned houses, and it just impacts all essential city services. It impacts the day-to-day operating of the city. It is a challenge. It is real. I'm not going to continue to talk about it because I don't have the power to do anything about it other than do what we've been doing, and that's reaching out to the governor, the attorney general's office, the state comptroller's office, and the Westchester County DA's office. Everybody is looking, they're talking, they're doing, and when they're able to move, they will move. But right now, this is the reality. It is a major challenge. Is it a major issue? And it majorly impacts the way that we're providing services in the city of Mount Vernon, but it's the reality. Right, sir?
Absolutely.
So everyone, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at 8 p.m. as we talk about the 2020 crime stats and the 2020 initiatives in the police department and where we're going for 2021. And then next Sunday, we will be talking about police reform and the city of Mount Vernon. Thank you so much again, Councilman Derek Thompson.
Everyone,
I
remember to get involved. Thank you.
Get involved. Don't just talk about it, be about it.
Be about it. Absolutely.